Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and I'm going to be covering some questions that we have been getting, of course, about the two brand new dimensional heroes that we have. Now, of course, we are talking about Rimuru and we're talking about Shuna. So overall, Rimuru is not seeing as much play as we really thought. Doesn't seem like there's been any more adjustments after we've seen the two hot fixes. So I don't know at this point if we're going to see any more adjustments, if he's just going to kind of be run as he is. Now we are seeing him, and I want to go over exactly where we're seeing these heroes. They are seeing a little bit of play, but of course, the other one in the other part of this is Shuna. Now, as you can see right here, we do have 4 pieces of furniture. We have a plus 30 signature item. I also took Shuna's engraving up a little bit higher, up to the 67, just based on the recommendation of a lot of other players. Because when you think big picture of both of these heroes, not only the ability to purchase one out at a discounted price, which we know it is $15, the second one is $50. A lot of players are questioning, who should I buy out of these two? Now, as it sits of today, which of course it could always change in the future, but as of today, Shuna would be the one that you do want to build out and the one that you do want to buy. If you're looking to purchase a hero within AFK Arena, this would be the one. And again, this is my recommendation from all of the comments that I got on YouTube. This would be my recommendation. Now, the reason behind it, and I want to run through a couple different game modes. Now, thinking of the last iteration that we've seen of both the Cursed Realm and of the Nightmare Corridor, and looking at the leaderboards. Now, the leaderboards are very indicative to where a hero performs, how well the hero performs, and those players that either have the hero or don't have the hero. So looking right here at Chen, again, you can see we have Kelton in here. We have the Awakened version of Baden, and right there is Shuna. So right off of the bat, right in that first formation, because of course, being a support hero, being a major buffer, it is doing incredibly well, and she is doing incredibly well. When we start going through these different formations, you can see, looking at a few of these, that right here we have the Awakened version of Lucius doing a ton of damage. We do have the Awakened version of Belinda, and of course we have the Bearder right down here, again doing a considerable amount of damage. And look at Gwen. The Draconic Gwen is just doing crazy amounts of damage. And then, of course, we have Rem in here. We have Nyla in here. We have Adrian and Elise. And the final one in here is looking at the Awakened version of Leica. We do have Solus in here, which, again, doing some crazy damage in this formation. But the one thing you'll note is, looking at these leaderboards, the exact same as the last one, we are not seeing Rimuru, unfortunately, being used in formations within here, which, again, brings the utility down a little since he's not being used with this iteration. Now, looking at the Nightmare Corridor, we are seeing the exact same. We'll check out Blossom's formation. So right there, guys, is the Scarlet still doing, again, when you think burst damage, Scarlet is kind of broken in burst damage. Looking right here, we do have Gwen again. We also do have the Awakened version of Leica. And right there, coming in at slot number 2 is Shuna. So again, we're seeing a lot of utility out of Shuna. We're looking at the rest of these formations, looking at the rest of the heroes that Blossom is using. And again, burst damage, when it comes to Rimuru, burst damage is not there at all. Even looking at the scaling itself, there's the Awakened version of Athalia. We do have, look at this, Vika is in here, which is kind of crazy, even looking at the formation that we have, but Vika is in here. Then, of course, right here, we have the Awakened version of Thane. But again, very similar to what we've seen in the first formation, we are not seeing Rimuru in those formations at all, unfortunately. And of course, they don't kind of coincide together. Now, looking at the Treasure Scramble, which right now we're at about 1%, looking at the Treasure Scramble and looking at a couple of these PvP teams, let's go ahead and look at Blossom again and see if we can find some of these heroes, because now we're getting into multiple teams. So looking in here, we do see Hildwyn is being used in here. Then we also see Shamira in here with Lady Simona. But looking a little bit further down here, you can see that we have right here with Adrian Elise. But you can see that Blossom is actually not using either of those. And we do know that they are built in their entirety. But when you start looking at some of the leaders and some of the formations, again, that we're kind of running in here, you can see a difference right here, because right there. So right there is the combination of both of them. And it's kind of crazy. And this is what I wanted to kind of see, is we're seeing them in a couple different formations. And as you can see right here from Rimuru, and again, there is 0 damage. Now, I want to see if the hero dies instantly upon entering this PvP formation, because this is, again, what a lot of players are kind of complaining about, is looking there, boom, takes a lot of damage. He's in the ghost form because, of course, the awakened version of Laika, and look at that, bounces away as a slime. Literally didn't do any damage in there at all. Got burst down so very quick. Now, of course, very similar to what we've seen in other formations is when you start having and it's kind of interesting because when we have a very, very high damage dealing hero, a lot of times they're a glass cannon, a lot of times they die very fast. This isn't the case because we know that Rimuru is not putting out a ton of damage, which is a little bit disappointed. But even looking in here, looking at Jigopai, we are not seeing them at all. So Blossom's not running the 2 new dimensional heroes. We are also not seeing them in here. I don't know if 1, they just didn't update the formation to include them, or 2, if they're not using them at all. But again, when you start thinking of utility-wise, is we have a lot of the really large players that are kind of the whales within AFK Arena, not using them within the Treasure Scramble. And then, of course, looking at the 2 other game modes, looking at the Curse Realm and the Nightmare Corridor, we are only seeing Shuna that is being used in either of those. Rimuru is unfortunately not being used in either of those. Now, of course, the other really big question that I've been getting from a lot of players is how do I get the dimensional gear? So the dimensional gear itself only comes out of one place, and that is the guild store. So it will come out of here, and you'll notice this very bottom 4 pieces of furniture. And let me spend some diamonds. I think I refreshed it once or twice already. But looking at this very 4 bottom pieces right here, we'll refresh this, spending a little bit of diamonds. And it looks like we don't have any in there. I'm wondering if, let's go 200 more. And I really want to show you because boom, boom, there it is. There is a dimensional piece. There's a light weapon. Unfortunately, it is not the casters, which we're looking for both of those. And there, of course, are the tanking boots. So depending on who you're building, this is really going to make a big difference because this is where the dimensional gear comes from. And again, this is the question that I've been getting a lot. Now, one thing that players are noticing is the cap. So you can see right here that our guild coins are completely capped, meaning we cannot get any more guild coins. They are capped in their entirety. That means the guild coins right here are going actually into the mailbox, and I cannot go ahead and acquire them because we have maxed them out. There is a cap, and there is a cap on everything within here, which of course makes the exchange a pain in the butt because if you're capping all of these hero coins out, if you're capping all of these things, you have to be really cognizant to the caps that you have in here, meaning that you're not going to have a ton of resources that are going to go to the mailbox and essentially expire without using them in their entirety. You want to make sure, again, that you're kind of staying in the cap and being really cognizant to what you need to use and what you can use, because also remember that we have a considerable amount of time before you can exchange for the heroes, which means you're going to have to manage these coins, and you're going to have to manage these coins for a considerable amount of time before the exchange for these heroes actually come up. So again, it's going to take quite a bit of time before you can get them, and you have to manage your resources, and you have to manage the resources well. Now, if you went through here and you checked out the slime lands in Esperia, really cool, guys. So we picked up, of course, our sticker right there, but we also got our Stargazer scrolls, and it is anticipated that we are going to see the patch notes that are coming up. I'm assuming tomorrow for the Awakened version of Antandra. Now, of course, over on the test server, if we see the patch notes tomorrow, looking at global, kind of the timeline that we see is the patch notes will come up on the global servers on Monday, which means the Awakened version of Antandra will be available to us on that Tuesday, which means we still do have a few more days until essentially we can get that hero summon and really do all of our time emblems to get the Awakened version of Antandra. In addition, we'll see the changes to the Stargazer. We'll see the changes to the Temple of Time as well. Sorry, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.